Good day, mate. Welcome back to the channel. I'm FPL Root and welcome back to another FPL video. So in today's video, I'm going to be building the best possible wildcard draft ahead of game week 4. So obviously we do have the international break coming up, but I wanted to build this early thoughts wildcard. So if you are looking to play a wildcard, you've got some ideas to kind of play around with during this international break. Even if you're not playing your wildcard, these are some of the best players that you should be bringing in probably for the next 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 game weeks. We'll start off though with Henderson in goal. So to be honest, this could be any 4.5 million goalkeeper. I'm not too sold on Henderson considering he hasn't kept a clean sheet this season. And to be honest, the fixtures are okay, but they're not great. They've obviously got Leicester at home coming up next, but then they've got Man United at home. 2 home games, you could argue that's half decent. Everton away, Liverpool at home, Forest away, Spurs at home. So it's a mixed bag of fixtures, but we know he's always going to get save points. We see him get a pretty good score he got 6 saves in game week 3 against Chelsea. So the reason I've gone for him is because I did want to cover that Palace defence somehow, because I think their fixtures are okay, but to be honest, I don't have any qualms going with maybe someone like Fleckham or even someone like maybe Verbruggen from Brighton. But I've gone for Henderson, and yeah, let me know if you decide a different keeper's better. Next up, we've got Virgil van Dijk in defence. So I really did want Liverpool cover because their fixtures, especially the next 2, are really, really good. They've kept 3 clean sheets so far this season. And yeah, Van Dijk has done very well in that, scoring 18 points. So 6 points a game. So yeah, not too bad. No bonus or attacking threat on anything like that. But Forest at home, Bournemouth away is why I want to bring him in. 2 very, very good fixtures for Van Dijk. Then they've got Wolves away, Palace away, Chelsea at home, Arsenal away. So it does get a little bit harder, but especially the next 4, I'd say, fixtures are very, very good for Liverpool. And we've seen how good they are kind of defensively this season, keeping 3 clean sheets already. And to be honest, it hasn't been the easiest games, I'd say. They obviously had Ipswich away in the first game, and they had a home fixture. And then they had obviously Man United away. So 2, I guess, away games in that. So I think for me, Liverpool covers a necessity if you are wildcarding in game week 4. Also going for Lewis Dunk. So this was a tough one, to be honest, between Verbruggen and Dunk, because I didn't want to double up on the Brighton defence, to be honest with you, because they've only kept 1 clean sheet this season. But I've decided to go for Lewis Dunk instead of Verbruggen because I feel like if I wanted to get a Palace defender, he wouldn't have been as attacking as Lewis Dunk, because Lewis Dunk is actually a massive threat from set pieces. Like I said, 1 clean sheet for him this season, 10 points. The fixtures for Brighton are very, very good, to be honest, especially the next 2. So Ipswich at home, Forest at home. So you couldn't really ask for a better 2 games, to be honest, 2 home games. Then they've got Chelsea away, Spurs at home, Newcastle away. So it does get a little bit tougher, and then Wolves at home and Liverpool away. So it does get tougher after game week 6 or game week 6 and onwards. But the next 2 look very, very good, and you can always look to move them on maybe if you need to. But with this defence that I'm building for this wild card, you've got a bit of rotation to kind of deal with Dunk having bad fixtures. Next up, we've got Robinson. So he stayed in my team since the beginning, and he'll be on a lot of wild cards, to be honest. 15.6% owned now, so a lot more people are starting to get him in, and he's got 13 points. So he's done very, very well. 2 assists so far this season. No clean sheets though, which I won't say is worrying. It's just a little bit annoying considering Fulham were decent defensively last season. But the fixtures for Fulham just continue to be half decent. So West Ham at home up next, then Newcastle at home. So 2 home games, then Forest away, City away, Villa at home, Everton away, and Brentford at home. So really, really nice there for Robinson, and he's got 2 assists already in the first 3 games. So for me, he is a very, very good option to go for an attacking fullback at 4.5 million. Well, it's now 4.6 million, but an attacking fullback for that price, I think, is a very, very good option to go for. On the bench for defence, I've got Konza. This one's tough because obviously Villa haven't kept any clean sheets this season, and Konza has only got 5 points. He's 13.2% owned, but again, the fixtures for Villa do look very, very good. Everton at home in this game week, in game week 4. I've decided to bench him though, but I think it's more than viable to start him. Then you've got Wolves away, and then Ipswich at home. So really, really nice set of 3 fixtures. Then they've got Man United at home, Fulham away, Bournemouth at home, Spurs away. So a bit of a mixed bag after that. But definitely the next three fixtures for Villa look very, very enticing. And I did want a little bit of their cover in there, even though I might not play him every single game week because of I think their defence has decent fixtures, to be honest, in Van Dijk, Lewis Dunk and Robinson. Also got Greaves on the bench. So the Ipswich defender, so far this season, he has looked, I'd say, half decent, to be honest with you. He's getting in attacking positions. He's playing further up the pitch than we kind of thought he would be. And for me, I really do like him as an option. There are obviously other Ipswich defenders that have done better than him so far this season. For example, you've got the likes of Davis, who has managed to get an assist. But for me, I do really like Greaves at 4 million. I think he's gonna be sitting on your bench. To be honest, hopefully you don't have to play him. If you do, then I think he could come up trumps potentially in the games coming up because they've got Brighton away, but Southampton away. There's no reason why you couldn't play him in that game. Villa at home, West Ham away, Everton at home again, and then they've got Leicester at home in game week 10. So there's no reason you can't play him if needed, but for me, there's going to be no need to play him, and I think the defence is strong enough without him. Let me know what you think in the comment section below on the defence, and we'll get on to the midfield. The midfield is probably one of the strongest parts of the team, to be honest with you. And we'll start off with the main man, Mo Salah. So 39.5% now, 41 points so far this season, 3 goals, 3 assists. Yeah, what an incredible start to the season he's had. Obviously, fresh off the back of 2 assists and a goal against Man United away. He's now 12.6 million, so he's starting to creep up in price. But for me, the fixtures coming up for Liverpool, there's no way you're going to want to go into them without having Mo Salah in your team. And to be honest, probably without having triple Liverpool in your team. Forest at home, Bournemouth at home, Wolves away, Palace away, Chelsea at home, and then they've got Arsenal away. So some really, really nice fixtures coming up for Salah. And that's why I've decided to double up Salah and Luis Diaz. So as you can see, Luis Diaz is also in this team. 32 points for Diaz so far this season, 3 goals, 1 assist, 7.6 million. And obviously, I won't go through the fixtures because I've just gone through it, but what a start to the season he's had. And to be honest, I'll be totally honest with you, whenever I've watched or seen Luis Diaz, I thought he's been very, very wasteful. I feel like he gets into the right positions, but I don't see him as a goal-scoring person or as a person that does get assists. I see him more as a creative player that causes a bit of havoc. But this season, he's proved me wrong. He's definitely proved me wrong. In terms of his stats, it's a goal a game. It's an assist, obviously, every 3 games. In terms of FPL points, he's getting 7 points every game, which is so good. 0.64 expected goals per 90. Big chances, 1.33 per 90. So really, really good stats for Luis Diaz. Don't get me wrong, I don't think it is a long-term pick. I don't think you're going to be able to keep him for 10 game weeks, but definitely for the next 3 or 4 game weeks, I think Luis Diaz could be a massive differential, and he's only 12.9% owned, so still a massive differential, and doubling up on that Liverpool midfield is going to be quite rare, I think, on people that are not playing the wild card. So I think it's a way to be a little bit different by playing the wild card. Up next, we've got Eze. 14 points this season. Obviously got his goal against Chelsea in game week 3, where a lot of people did sell him and he did drop down to 6.9 million. He's still 24.3% owned, so still very highly owned. And the fixtures for Palace, as I've mentioned, are decent. They're not amazing, but they're decent. 2 home games, Leicester and Manchester United, Everton away, Liverpool at home, Forest away, Spurs at home, Wolves away. So 2 home games, you can't really ask for much more. And to be honest, I'm not classing Man United as a hard game, to be frank with you. Might be a bit harsh, but I'm not, especially if you're at home to Manchester United. Like I said, Eze's been very unlucky this season. I know he's got his goal, but if people that actually watched football, not kind of trying to be offensive or anything, but I'm saying people that watched the game that Eze played in, you'd see that he was a massive threat and he was so unlucky not to return. And I think against Chelsea, we saw that, like, what he can do, basically. And his stats for the season kind of show that as well. So expected goals is 0.36 per 90, 0.33 big chances, 2.3 expected, 2.3 shots in the box, 5 shots. Yeah, his stats are up there. And if you just watch him, he's basically everything Palace do going forward, it involves Eze. And for me, he's on pens, on set pieces. Yeah, just have Eze in your team. Like I said, he's still 24% owned, so I'd say I'd still class that as someone a little bit different, but he's not as, I guess, much of a differential as someone like Luis Diaz. Up next, we've got Rodgers, so a player that's looked good as well so far this season, but just hasn't delivered in terms of goals and assists. And to be honest, I'm not too sure if he ever will. He might just be that player that does look good, and like Luis Diaz, I felt like Luis Diaz was last season, the season before. But for me, I do think Rodgers has a spot in a wildcard draft. 5.1 million, 14.3% owned. So not a lot of people will actually play him in their team, but a lot of people will have them on the bench. Villa's fixtures are Everton at home, Wolves at home, then Ipswich away, Man United at home, Fulham away, Bournemouth at home. And then for me, yeah, I think Rodgers is a nice player to have, and potentially you could start him on certain game weeks. On the bench, we've got Mbermo, so 7.2% owned. He's 7.1 million now. Obviously, he smashed it the last game week, getting a couple goals. He's on 3 goals now for the season. It's not ideal bringing him in with Man City away and Spurs away, but I think with this squad, you can bench him for the Man City game. And to be honest, the Spurs game, I'd be playing him because I think Spurs are going to concede. That's almost a guarantee if for Spurs every week that they're going to concede a goal. And for me, I think Mbermo, now that Tony's gone, on pens, takes some set pieces, I think he can be a really, really nice option. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, and then we'll get on to the forwards. So now we're on to the forward line, and we'll start off with Erling Haaland. I think a lot of people that obviously don't own Haaland have been taught a lesson over the last 3 game weeks. He's scored a ridiculous amount of goals already, 7 goals in 3 games, 41 points, 2 hat-tricks, 15.2 million now, 64% owned. Ridiculous. Like, there's no more words I could use for Erling Haaland. Just have him in your team. Don't even think about it. It's just not worth the hassle of having to basically hide behind the sofa every time he's playing. He's going to score a hat-trick. He's going to score a brace. He's going to get a goal a game at least. For me, he's the perfect captaincy option most weeks. For me, just have him in your team. Whether that's on wildcard, without wildcard, just bring him into your team. Fixtures are not the best. Granted, are not the best for Haaland, but if you're on a wild card, you have to have him in your team. Brentford at home, Arsenal at home. Okay, tough game against Arsenal, but at least it's at home. Then Newcastle away, who didn't look that good against Spurs the other day. Fulham at home, Wolves away, Southampton at home, Bournemouth away. So really, you've got that Arsenal game as the only tough game in there. And for me, he's going to be captaincy option 9 out of the next 10 game weeks. Up next is a player at the other end of the spectrum in terms of price. 18 points for João Pedro so far this season. He's 25% owned, 2 goals, 5.7 million. And for me, he's an absolute bargain, and he allows this team to be created. He allows the likes of Salah, Eze, Van Dijk, Diaz, obviously Haaland. He allows for them to be in the team, and the team still looks strong. And for me, I think he's a must-have for most managers going into the next at least 2 game weeks. And having him on the wild card, I wouldn't even be worried about playing him. And because of the way this squad's built with Mbermo and Rodgers, there's always potential to rotate him and drop João Pedro to the bench because he is 5.7 million. Ipswich at home is the next game for Brighton, then Forest at home, and then they've got Chelsea away, Spurs at home, Newcastle away, and then Wolves at home, Liverpool away. So it does get a lot tougher. But for me, 5.7 million, even if he gets a goal every 3 games, maybe a return every 2 games, yeah, for me, he's worth that money and more. So for me, João Pedro has to be in your wildcard team. Up next is a little bit of a wild card within the wild card. So a lot of people aren't talking about him because all the focus is on Madueke or Palmer. But I want to talk about Nicholas Jackson a little bit. He's 5.6 million. He's got 18 points so far this season with 2 goals, 1 assist. 7.6 million now. And as I've mentioned, Chelsea's fixtures are very, very good. Two away games though, so Bournemouth away and West Ham away. Then they've got Brighton at home and Forest at home. And then they run into a bit of a tough run with Liverpool away, Newcastle at home, Man United away. But for me, being, what, 3 million cheaper than Cole Palmer, for me, I think it's worth saving the money. I know Cole Palmer's on penalties. I know Cole Palmer's guaranteed to start. But I think other than Cole Palmer, next guaranteed to start in terms of that attacking for of Chelsea, I think Nicholas Jackson's up next, because the wingers, you've got Pedro Neto, you've got Madueke, you've got Modric, you've got Nkunku, so many more players that I've forgotten about, but you've got so many options there. Whereas up front, okay, João Felix can play there, okay, Nkunku can play there, but for me, Nicholas Jackson is the #1 striker for Chelsea at the minute, and I can see that happening for at least up until game week 19. So for me, I do like saving the money and going for Nicholas Jackson. The team is actually rated 91%, so a very, very good rating, and 92% for the game week rating. So a good start if you are playing a wild card in game week 4. 69.6%, 69.6 expected points as well, which is very, very good. A really solid team. Good rotation options if you did want to rotate the defence and the midfield. You've also got the ability to switch from 3-5-2 to 3-4-3 whenever you want in terms of the fixtures, because you have that decent fifth midfielder in Rodgers. And then you've got Mbeumo, who's not even in the team yet, to come in maybe next week or the week after. For me, I do think it's a solid team. I think the goalkeeper spot is negotiable, and I think Jackson is negotiable as well. But other than that, I'd probably go with all the rest of the other players. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, and then we'll get on to another draft up next, which has been built by AI. So it'll be good to compare how my team is and AI's team. Let's get into it. So this is Fantasy Football Hub's AI team. So this team has been built using AI. If you did want to check that out, or even have your team rated by AI, scan the QR code on the screen now, or the link in the description, and you can do that for absolutely free of charge. It's completely free to do, and you get to see what your team's rated by AI. So this team has Martinez in goal at 5 million for Aston Villa, with the next fixtures, 2 obviously solid home games and then Ipswich away. It also has Robertson. So Robertson, we know Liverpool have good fixtures, and Trent double up. So interesting that they've gone for a double up of the Liverpool defence. I guess that 3 clean sheets in a row does that to start the season. So I understand why. For me, I just haven't seen enough attacking threat from Robertson and Trent so far this season to warrant going double Liverpool defence. But I don't mind that at all. Gavardio is also in there, so absolutely massive at the back. 6 million, 6 million, and 7 million with a 5 million goalkeeper. We've also got Salah in midfield, so again, triple up on Liverpool, very, very solid. Eze, who we've got as well. Saka, so I've decided to not have Saka because of them 2 away games. I think from game week 6 onwards, then fair enough, but before that, I'm not too sure Saka is the best pick. Palmer, absolutely love. Obviously, I decided to go against Palmer and go for Jackson because I did want to get in Erling Haaland, whereas this team doesn't have Haaland. Semenyo as well, really, really close to being in my team. I just felt like the next couple of fixtures weren't the best for him, and there was always an opportunity to bring him in at a later stage when the fixtures did turn. And up front, you've got Isak and João Pedro. So obviously, the glaring omission is Erling Haaland. Saka and Palmer, do they cover Haaland? No, I don't think they do. I think Palmer is a very, very good pick. However, I don't think Saka is the one to go for on a wild card, especially with the next 2 fixtures. I know he does well against Spurs, but for me, I feel like there's better options to go for in the short term, and potentially look to bring in someone like Saka maybe in game week 6. You could potentially downgrade Saka. Maybe go for one of my other midfielders. So maybe you can't go for Luis Diaz, but maybe you can go for an Mbeumo instead of Saka. Yes, I know the fixtures are tough as well, but an Mbeumo instead of Saka, and then upgrade Isak to Haaland potentially, or even you have to drop him down probably even more. But maybe even drop one of the defenders out. Maybe don't go for the double Liverpool defence. Maybe go for someone like Lewis Dunk, who has decent fixtures, and then upgrade maybe Isak to Haaland. For me, you have to get Haaland in your team. I know it's going to be a struggle with Saka, Palmer, and Salah, but for me, I'd drop Saka, drop a Liverpool defender, and get Haaland instead. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Check out Fantasy Football Hub, scan the QR code or link in description. Subscribe to the channel, it does help me out a lot and I do appreciate it. And smash a like on this video. Good luck for the game week.